What's good, Commanders fans? Just wanted to talk about an update from Cortland Sutton and then react to a couple of the comments that you guys made over my video on one day on July 28th, which was Monday when Cortland Sutton signed his deal. And we got the update from Adam Schefter. So I did want to talk about the update from Tony Pauline. So Tony Pauline came out with an article. Tony Pauline, let me see, where is he? Who does he work for? But Tony Pauline, he's pretty respected. He's been writing for a long time, and he's been on TV as well, if I'm not mistaken. But the good news that he has an update. So, and like I always say with all these updates, Jeremy Fowler has had his updates. James Palmer had his update. Adam Schefter now had his update saying that I think that it's going to be that I think that Terry wants more than DK. So that's what Adam Schefter came out. Like I said, everybody's respecting what Adam Schefter had to say because he's Adam Schefter. And, he's the top ESPN insider, really the top NFL insiders between him, Rappaport, and there's so many of them now. But the point is with this is still speculation, but this is positive speculation. I'll say this. So Tony Pauline says that he believes the deal is going to get done sooner than later. So he says, people I've spoken with tell me that they expect a deal will get done sooner rather than later. Clock is ticking. It's about to be August. We're about to go into our first preseason game. Not like you would love to have Terry there for training camp. Like I said, yesterday I was there. There were some drop passes. And guys weren't getting open. And Terry would certainly help with that in practice and clearly in the games. So we need him there, whether you agree with the money or not. He needs to be there for us to make our playoff push and our potential Super Bowl run. He has to be there. He's our best receiver, our best route runner, everything, hands catcher, body catcher, contested catcher, whatever you want to call it. But let's get back to the article. Though it's not going to be a huge contract, I'm told to expect a 2 to 3 year extension for Terry McLaurin with a bump in pay this season to give him a bit more security. He also says the deal signed by Cortland Sutton yesterday should help push things along for the Commanders and Terry McLaurin. The Broncos veteran wideout received a 4-year, $92 million extension Monday, which includes $41 million in guarantees, according to multiple sources. Sources telling me they believe the Commanders will offer a deal with an annual payout slightly higher than the one received by Cortland Sutton. Now, that would, if it's slightly higher, that would not make Terry and Buddy Baker happy. Now, going back to the article, Tony Pauline says the holdup would be McLaurin demanding more than $30 million annually. People tell me they don't feel the franchise would be willing to go that high for Terry McLaurin. Now, I think he deserves 30. Now, let's get back to the article again. The Commanders must be careful with this negotiation. The depth chart of receiver is thin after Terry McLaurin, which I was explaining. Like, Ja'Cory Brooks has had some drops. Chris Moore has had some drops out there. Noah Brown is a good number 3, really, in the league. Debo's a good. I'm going to say he's more than a gadget guy. I know it's practice. I don't want to get too carried away, but he's more than a gadget guy. I think he will be more than just a gadget guy in this offense for sure. So back to the article, he says this offseason the team brought in veterans Debo Samuel and Michael Gallup via trade and free agency. They also traded for veteran left tackle Laramie Tunzel, and all signs point to the future being now in Washington, despite having a dynamic second-year quarterback in Jaden Daniels. Since stepping on the field as a rookie, McLaurin has been a huge part of the Commanders' offense, and they need him to take the next step. So, basically what he's saying, to summarize or sum this up, he's going to get a little bit higher than Cortland Sutton. So, Cortland Sutton is getting $23 million per year. Terry's already at, 22.5 or $23 million a year. And if what Adam Schefter is saying is true, now, like I said, the conspiracy theory is that people think that Adam Peters gave that information to Adam Schefter so Adam Peters could look good in the eyes of, like, I guess the fans or the media and stuff like that, basically making it seem like Terry is asking for an unreasonable amount of money. I already said I would pay him 30. I would be mad with paying him 33, but I do believe that the Cortland Sutton contract does affect Terry's pay. Now, Terry is a better receiver. He's more consistent. There's seasons where Cortland Sutton has only had 700 yards receiving. And I get it. Like, a lot of people say yards are not the end all be all, but to me, like, if Terry has 1,000 yards every year and Cortland Sutton has a 600-yard season, a 700-yard season, then a 1,000-yard season, that's inconsistent to me. And I get it. He hasn't had the best quarterback play, but Terry has had even worse quarterback play. Like, at least, like, Russell Wilson was terrible for the Broncos, but At least he had like Russell Wilson. He had Bo Nix last year. We had Jane Daniels, so they both had way better quarterback play than what they've gotten. But Terry's just been more consistent. Like he's just a better receiver. So the reason why they're so comparable is because they are so similar in age. It's not like Garrett Wilson, where Garrett Wilson's like 25, Armon Ross 26, Ayuk's 27, DK's 28. Which is actually not that far off, but Terry's better than DK. Terry's better than Garrett, in my opinion, as well. T. Higgins is 26, so he's younger. Jalen Waddle's 27. So those are the guys that he's been like compared to. But Terry's about to be 30 this year, but he's making 23 mil per year. 28 would not be bad in my opinion. 28 per year. He wants to get more than T. Higgins because he believes he's a wide receiver number 1, and he believes that T. Higgins is a wide receiver number 2, and T. Higgins is a wide receiver number 2. There's teams where T. Higgins would be a wide receiver number 1, though. I think the Patriots, he would be a wide receiver number 1. That's why the Patriots were willing to offer T. Higgins that amount of money. They offered Chris Godwin $30 million. And that's why I feel like Terry should get 30. Like, I like Chris Godwin too. Chris Godwin's a dog. But that's why, like, the reason why I feel like Terry should get 30 is, and I retweeted this tweet this morning too, actually, where, let me see if I can find it, where I think it was last year, he was, of course, first in contested catches. So he had a 94 point in contested catch situations. Terry had a 94.3 PFF grade, first, 24 catches, first, 9 touchdowns, first, 134.1 rating when targeted last year, first in contested catch situations. And he was second team All-Pro. He had 13 touchdowns. And I think, like I said, his game is not going to decline at all. It's not going to decline. I think he's only going to get better with Jaden as his quarterback. Yes, I know when he turns like 34, of course, obviously, Father Time is going to, bang on the door or whatever. But I think 30 is really good. I think that's really fair. I think even Buddy Baker should just be like, hey, man, 30 is really good right now. Cortland Sutton, it did not help at all. If Cortland Sutton, if Cortland Sutton would have got like 28 or 30, then Buddy Baker would have a leg to stand on. Terry would have a leg to stand on and be like, hey, man, like, I'm way better than Cortland Sutton. I've had better production. Like, you can point to all the numbers. Like, when you compare him to DK, like, their numbers are so similar. Him and DK's yards are only off by, like, 50 yards. DK has 10 more touchdowns. So, like, the comparison is very close. But the comparison, like, if you compare Terry's numbers to Cortland, Terry's numbers clear Cortland Sutton's numbers for, like, 3 or 4 years. But, like I said, 3 years, 30 mil per year. $90 million overall. Cortland got 41 guaranteed, so bump it up to like 51 guaranteed. Maybe throw some of the fines back into the contract. So what, it was $200,000 in fines. Throw that onto the contract as well. And I think that should get it done, man. That should get it done. So he can get in here and get him and Jaden already have chemistry. But you want to get that chemistry going now, man. They shouldn't have months apart from each other where they're not throwing a ball to each other. That shouldn't be happening with your franchise quarterback and your wide receiver number 1. And I know they're good enough to just come in there and still connect in week 1, but you still want to get those reps. You want to get that timing down and stuff like that. You want to do that. So they need to get that done. Let's not wait until September like some of the other Niners deals have been done in the John Lynch era and Kyle Shanahan era that Adam Peters was a part of. Let's not play around with this and get it done. I know it's not as easy as it sounds because Terry and Buddy Baker are standing firm on their stance as well, but they do need to get this done sooner than later. So that's good news from Tony Pauline if this is accurate information that we're hearing from Tony Pauline. So I'm going to read some of the comments and I'll wrap it up. This is from Billy Wall 7752. He says Cortland Sutton's contract should have absolutely no bearing on Terry's contract. He's not as good as Terry and he's the same age. So that's where I kind of disagree with my guy Billy. That like I said, look at it the other way. Like, say if hypothetically if Cortland would have got 30 mil or 28, that would help Terry. I think him getting 23 hurts. I think it does. I really do. You got to ask yourself the other way. What would have happened if it would have went the other way around? So by the contract not helping, just by it not helping, I think it hurts. Let's see here. I'll read one more comment. Ethan Powell also says, I don't think Cortland Sutton's contract affects Terry much at all. Terry is in a different universe from Sutton. Forget the stats, just watch the impact they make on game days. It's night and day. Now, Cortland had a good year last year. Cortland's been a good receiver. So I don't think he's in a different universe. But he's better. Like, nobody's going to debate that Cortland Sutton. Like, even Broncos fans are not going to debate that Cortland Sutton is better than Terry. Like, they know that too. Terry's the better receiver for sure. But like I said, you know, they're Adam Peters is going to use that as leverage for sure. He's gonna use that Cortland Sutton contract as leverage. Jelly Bean says AP licking his fingers after that Cortland deal. I agree with that too. And then Carlos Beladeros 7782 says love Terry, but asking him for more money than what DK is getting is crazy. I disagree with Carlos on that. I do agree if he went like $1 million above DK, I'd be fine with that. But when it's like considerably more, I think that is I think that's pretty tough. Cortland Sutton has almost the same identical stats as Terry last year, and they are both the same age. So they did have identical stats last year, but over the course of their careers, they have not. Responding to Carlos. And Carlos also says, lastly says, this extension starts when Terry is going to be 31 years old. The ideal number should be 29 or 31 million and fully guaranteed, just in my opinion, though. So I do agree with Carlos on that last sentence where he says the ideal number should be 29 to 31. I agree with that. I do feel like it should be 30. I think 30 is perfect. So, all right, you guys, I'm exhausted talking about this, guys. I really am. I just want a deal to get done and they can just move on and play football. So, all right, you guys, as always, you guys let me know what you guys think. Healthy Commanders. Peace.